Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Play Xenogears. Last time we went around and got a bunch of items, including speed shoes, which are awesome. And since last time, I did a little bit of stuff off screen. I've now maxed out his Phase Final Edition, which didn't take very long since he was at 95 already. And so he no longer has the wizardry rings, and since I no longer need them because everyone has maxed out all of their something like skills, death blows, whatever they're called. I now have him no longer with those, and I also sold them since I don't need them. He now has the trader card, the manly mantle, King's helmet, we got hero costume, King's helmet, power crisis, and you have an ether doubler now that she no longer needs the trader card, and a vivid turban, and the goddess robe. Now, as far as gear goes, for now, everyone's just rocking magnetic coats, but that will change. Now, while I was off screen, you may notice my money's a little higher than it was. I've got about 30 of the golden vests and about 20 of the golden hoods, and I saved enough to equip all my characters, and with 3 left over for these 3 who aren't equipping them. Everyone else is just equipping those by default because they're easy enough and I can put them on everyone. Now, if you run around here enough, you can eventually find the one point that they'll let you in. This isn't on the map, but it's definitely worthwhile going to. No one knows what it really is. Well, let's find out what it is. Now, last time we also checked in on the new and improved battling arena, which I didn't do anything with, and some of the items that we could get from there were some more of the junior dolls. Now, I do have a list here of what the junior dolls do, and this may look familiar to you if we've played this game before, which of course we have. Now, before I go too far into Zeboim, yeah, somehow, this isn't too far from where we went underground before into Zeboim, but I guess that was in the middle of the water and this isn't. It's a lot closer now than it once was, so I'm not sure if that has something to do with the fact that we couldn't come here earlier in the game. But for those dolls, the Billy Jr. doll, which I think is accessible from winning at the battling arena, you get hit and evade plus 25%, and it stacks with the evasion rings. The Emeralda doll that we got, one of the ones from defeating Kana in the game of Speed, that one it basically does a counterattack. And with this counterattack, you only do as much damage as you actually, you only deal as much damage with the counterattack as you were dealt in turn. So considering the fact that, well, it does work in a gear, so it can be useful that way. I'm not a big fan of it. I don't really use it. The Chu-Chu idol isn't really a junior doll, but it gives 20% to all of her stats, all of Chu-Chu's stats. Only by Chu-Chu can be used. The Ellie doll, kind of like I said, it's supposed to increase your ether damage or decrease it by 50% randomly. Doesn't really do that. The Faye Junior doll, which again only Chu-Chu can use, as well as the Bart Junior doll, which only Chu-Chu can use. The first one, the Faye Junior doll, that one increases critical bonuses from it's by default, it's at 50%. It goes to 100%. The Bart Jr. doll, critical hit chance is increased by 50%. The chance, not the amount of damage. The chance increases by 50% from a base of 10% for a total of 60. Now, Chu-Chu is the only character in the game who can actually use critical hits, which is why a lot of people seem to believe that they don't actually do anything, that there aren't any critical hits in this game. And that's kind of why. Now, while we're down here, we might as well pick up some items. Basically, if you're going to use Chu-Chu, I would use the Faye Jr. doll, the Bart Jr. doll, and the Chu-Chu idol. They all up her stats and her output of damage. I think her base chance at critical is like 10%, which isn't great. Now, if we go over here, unfortunately, this map is really annoying because the buildings are in the way of any point that you're trying to see. So don't blame me too much if I keep spinning the camera around in circles trying to find out where the hell I'm going. All right, so over here, we can't really get in there, but we'll fight a battle first and then we'll go in there. All right, these guys, I don't know. Basically, anything that you fight down here that's small usually comes in packs of 4 to 6. So pick an element, any element, attack the enemies, they die. Or you could use normal attacks, that works too. Just use the triangle ones on the smaller enemies there. But that ends them faster, especially with the Ether Doubler on. And these enemies will drop fangs with the trader card equipped, guaranteed. So let's get out of the gears over here, and you want to walk in here. Now you can't really see it, but if you just keep pressing forward, you don't even have to press X, you get the G Godfather, the ultimate gun for Billy's gear. And over here, we have, what do we have here? Ah, it looks kind of like a TV station. Well, I'm not going to do a whole bunch of exploring here. I'm just going to grab the treasure for now because I don't want to make the upcoming sequence take too long. And so I'm just going to grab treasure while we're here and then go do the other stuff. Yeah, normally when you get to this point, it would say that, but they expect you to still be in your gears. And if we go up here, it'll say it again because there's another one of these. One sec. Okay, I just cut that battle out so I could reorient my map and figure out where the hell I was, because this place, like I said, because you have to rotate the map all the time, I get lost kind of easily. There are things we can do in these buildings right now, but I'm not going to do them at the moment. Like I said, let's just grab the treasure and we'll go and do what we need to do here story-wise. Not, you know, pertaining to the actual plot. It does, but it's a side quest. You don't have to do this. So just kind of be aware of that. There are a few items around here. Let's get our camera center to the north again. So we got that one. Over directly to our left is where we came in. And so we've gotten those. So I did miss one. I always seem to miss this one. But when you turn the corner here, if you don't turn the corner right away, there is another treasure over here that we should pick up. And yeah, another death blower. We get all 3 of the death blowers in here. And there's not a whole lot we can really do with them, unless you like using them. But I don't. Speaking of things that I don't like, dragons! Yeah, we can fight dragons now. They still have 18,000 HP, just like they did before. And we can still take them out somewhat easily. A lot easier now than before, but they can still do quite a bit of damage if they, you know, use the right attacks, and if our defense isn't too high. Anyway, yeah, not a whole lot to them at this point. There is a more difficult version of the dragon, and we'll be going over that sometime in the future. And we got level up. They don't seem to drop anything around here, so don't, you know, waste your time looking for that. So over here we have one more door, and of course it's going to tell me that there's one more door. I'm going to avoid said door because I don't need to. That door over here runs into another battle. Okay, enough of that. But basically all this one does is it acts as kind of a go-between to get back over here around to where we got the treasure. I think the treasure's in the way the first time around, but anyway, let's just keep moving on. And we have another new enemy, the Croaker tribe. These ones are important. Can't remember what they're weak to. I think they're weak to wind or they're weak to fire, one of the two. Either that or that's just the one I happen to use pretty much every time I fight them. Fast forward through repeat animations. There we go. And the reason why these guys are important, I'll be showing off in subsequent episodes, but they drop scales, and that's one of the ways we can make money, which I will explain why we actually would care to make money at this point in the game shortly. But before that, it says we can go in here, but there's no door. Well, there's actually like a hole in the ground. It's kind of hard to see, but it's there. Now, that goes back up. There's not much to see here, so let's just run through here on fast forward. Here we have a little train, dilapidated train yard here. And we get a Z charger, very important for later. And from here on, we should be able to have some fun. There we go. Can't rotate the camera very much in this area. But let's go over here. Oh, I forgot to kind of go over this. Bring Emeralda when you come here. It's important for a specific scene. I guess that's kind of obvious considering this is Zeboim and we saw that from where we got her, but oh well. Let's take a look. Looks like it's Christmas time. What exactly is going on here? Another year has come and passed. Now, if you remember, we've kind of saw reference to a guy that looked like Faye and someone who looked like Ellie in all the flashbacks we've seen around where Emeralda was created. And since that's associated with Zeboim, let's just take a look here. Apparently there's a war going on here. This is Zeboim 4,000 years ago, by the way. Of course, that's kind of what war does. It just kills indiscriminately. That's why war sucks so damn much. Today, at least, I want to spend a day without worrying. So we take a look at the pixelated Christmas tree and relax. And as you can see, that doesn't last very long. Yeah, they're having dinner at a restaurant or something like that. Well, you're very opinionated. And yes, they seem to have this concept of other planets at this point in development. If you remember, the Zeboim society was very advanced, and I've heard one person put forth the idea that this is Zeboim was supposed to be a representation of kind of present day on Earth, but I see no other evidence to suggest that, so you can choose to believe that if you want, but anyway, there's some important things that are said here. The fact that Kim is very upset with the fact that people are at war and the fact that people are too stupid to realize that war is stupid is one of them. And yes, we've kind of seen the stupidity of such ideas even in our present life, which I guess could explain why people can read into this timeline as supposedly being a reference to our own, but who knows? What child? Ravine, I believe, is just the area, like the city they're in. Zeboim's the name of the society, Ravine's the town, I think. I'm not 100% sure on that one, but apparently there was a protest and a child was killed during the protest by police or the government or something like that. Yeah. Apparently there was a point without electricity. Apparently power went out due to the war, And that's what led to all this happening. And now we find out that Kim is actually a medical doctor. And considering he's wearing a suit, probably a relatively wealthy one. Why do they strangle themselves? Humans are defective creatures. That's why genetic damage is up lately. The birth rate is also going down. This, again, is very important to know about Zeboim society. 30 years is the approximate life expectancy of people here due to genetic damage, and the chance at births happening are very low. Of course not. They don't really talk about it, but I think the implication is that in this timeline they're married. Yeah, she's also suffering genetic damage and she can't have children. Wow, that's very dark. Now he sees where kind of his anger is kind of put. And this is the second time we get a reference to a Faye Ellie kind of in bed sequence there, which is, again, kind of, you know, just something you don't see a lot of very often. At least not at the time this game came out. Now you see a lot more than this. What's not going to work? That is most likely true. There's like a drawing board there, so maybe Kim is also an artist as well as a doctor, or maybe that's for Ellie. Who knows? Some pure life, not cursed. Pure life. And of course, considering they're playing June Mermaid, and we know about this sequence already, or at least part of it, yes, they decided to create life, basically, in the form of a nanomachine colony. Hasn't awakened yet, but Emeralda does have some memories of certain events that have happened. Anyway, so apparently there's some kind of genetic defect that can't be stopped no matter how, many doctors work on it, no matter how many scientists study it, and they're basically at the end. Basically what he's saying here is somehow they managed to add their own genetic patterns, somehow without the defects, into the idea of Emeralda's creation, somehow, somewhere along the line. So technically they are both their parents and not their parents. And technically they had a child but didn't have a child, depending on how you look at things. Maybe. And seeing this scene again, even though those are probably some of Faye's memories, not Emeralda's, somehow being here and viewing that flashback has made Emeralda start to remember. Yeah, Kim died. Soldiers of town tried to use you. The ultimate work of art. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, and here's kind of the thing, they've talked about it in the past, but basically all of the different flashbacks to other versions of Fae that we've seen refer to different generations across the game. And I'll talk about it a little bit kind of right at the end of the game because it kind of matters then. But we've seen of course, Kim in the Zeboim time period, Lacan 500 years ago, Faye now. We've also seen one single scene referencing Abel. And of course, we saw Ellie being shot, chased by Emperor Cain in that flashback. But oh, well, that's nice. Now, this scene should be, this great moment, but it's kind of plagued by some poor choices in words. Yeah, I have a dirty mind, but. And then she goes in to be held, and like he's kind of the descendant of her father, and it's so kind of off. And considering she's talking about her body and this happens, yeah, she grows up. Okay, and that's it. It just kind of happens. She gets a new portrait. She also gains better stat gains at this point, though her base stats don't actually change. I'm not sure how exactly that works, but it's written down somewhere in the battle mechanics guide that how her stats gain. She'll gain like more stats at this point now that she's reached adulthood, and her weight changes in accordance, I think. Though it might be the same, I don't know. Either way, she is now even better, even though her stats don't really show it, but her stats, she's basically more useful at this point in the game, and she was already useful to begin with. Now, this kind of goes with my reasoning for having these two characters. It's not just because I needed Emeralda for this sequence to happen, but it's also because I wanted to basically outfit my best party, and that's these two. And the reason why they're the best is mainly due to speed. Can I get up here, please? Okay, whatever. Eventually you'll get up, just keep jumping. And are we back in our gears? We are not back in our gears. Let's get back in our gears. I don't think it's ever mentioned directly in the game what ended the Zeboim society in like the last days, even though they're kind of going extinct. However, it's mentioned at some point, though I'm not sure if it's in the game or if it's in Perfect Works or it's just implied. But as we've seen throughout kind of the history of the game, we've always seen someone kind of guiding things. And since we know Miang's been around for a long time, it's implied or suggested or even mentioned somewhere that she was behind the downfall of Zeboim. And even though it's not mentioned yet, although I'm pretty sure it is mentioned at some point, Zeboim actually erupts in flames due to war. And that's how the civilization eventually goes out. Now, that's important because the Zeboim city is also an allusion to real life. And it's a city on the plain of Sidem, something like that. I probably pronounced that wrong. And it was destroyed by fire for sinning against God. The term also means deer, goats, and gazelle. Obviously, the direct reference to animals isn't what they were going for with that, but you can kind of see the additional references they put in there, which is pretty cool. Anyway, there's one building that we haven't checked out, and I want to go back and talk to some of the things in the other ones. But that's all the time I have for this episode of Let's Play Xenogears. Next time we'll do all that, and then move on, and I'll figure out what exactly I want to do in the next one. That's all for this one, and I'll see you guys next time.